This week on Jaws Picks with Ron Jaworski, Peyton Manning.
This is Ron Jaworski. Today I am joined by legendary quarterback Peyton Manning. You know, in Philadelphia, Carson Wentz had a run of like 4 years of playing terrific quarterback, and all of a sudden he gets benched. How surprised are you by that?
It's probably a good year that there aren't many fans allowed at Philly Stadium. When you agree,
you're right about that. Have you ever given thought about possibly becoming an NFL owner or a general manager of an NFL team? I've always envisioned you in that role.
Yeah, Josh. I mean, I keep looking for that $3 billion, but I just can't find it. It must be in another account that I'm not aware of. So,
hey, I got a C note in my pocket. I'll invest.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll form a group.
Download new episodes of Jaws Picks with Ron Jaworski every Wednesday and Friday on Podcast One and all your favorite podcasting platforms.
No one out-cheeses, out-meats, out-supremes, out-crusts, or outstuffs the Hut. Because when it comes to making your favorites, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
I always say it's like family here.
RK Chevrolet does it right. With the Chevy employee discount for everyone. The Chevy price you pay is what we pay, not a cent more. New 2020 Silverados up to $8,465 below MSRP. New 2020 Equinox $27,900. And every new RK Chevrolet comes with RK coverage, no charge.
Family owned and operated since 1982.
RK Chevrolet does it
right.
RK Chevrolet of Vineland.
Thanks for joining us here on the Ron Jaworski Show. And I really want to thank our new sponsors as we come to you with our live stream. Jim G. from RK Chevrolet of Vineland. Thanks, Jim, man. Great to have you as part of the show. Awesome stuff. And Ed Herron from Pizza Hut of South Jersey. 27 locations around South Jersey. Fantastic pizza at the Pizza Hut. Ed, thank you so much. And yes, we are coming to you live from Riley's Pub at the Valleybrook Country Club, where we have about 7 or 8 people standing around. Fortunately, they're not in their cars, stuck in the Schuylkill somewhere. So it's good to see everyone here at Riley's Pub. And let's go Birds. A lot of Birds fans always at Riley's Pub. I'm going to take a deep breath right here because we finally have a win to talk about. It's been a rough stretch of games for the Birds where it's been nothing but disappointment, but a great win last week over the New Orleans Saints. And we get a little bit excited about the remainder of the season where there still is a chance, albeit slight, that the Eagles can become a playoff team. So we're not giving up yet. We're hanging in there, trying to find a way to get to the postseason. And back at the studio is Devon Gibbons, and I'll be chiming with Devon every now and then because I like his opinions. You know, he talks to the people on a regular daily basis in the evening, and I always like to get a pulse on what he's feeling and hearing from the great Philadelphia Eagle fans. But a lot going on this week. Arizona, they had a big win last week. As you look for concerns about this Cardinal team, they're a playoff team right now, so clearly the Eagles have to bring their best. Then you look at what Arizona has right now as a pass rusher. By the way, Hassan Reddick, 5 sacks, folks, last week from his linebacker / pass rush defensive end position against the New York Giants. That is a breakout game. By the way, he is a young man from Temple, had a great career at Temple, from Camden, went to school at Haddon Heights over in South Jersey. So we always like to see our local favorites have solid, strong performances and careers, but we don't want that this week, Hassan. Although we're proud of you right now, we don't want you sacking our quarterback, Jalen Hurts, 5 times. By the way, finally got the running game going. I can't wait to get Brian Westbrook on the line and talk to him about that. Brian Westbrook will be joining me shortly on the show, and we'll talk about this Eagle running game. Their balance on offense and defense as Miles Sanders goes up against Kenyon Drake out in Arizona. And another thought is this DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, can he feast on his banged-up Eagles secondary? A lot of injuries right now. We'll find out on Sunday. But DeAndre Hopkins clearly going to be a tough matchup for this Eagles secondary. But let me get right to our very special guest because you hear him often here on 97.5 The Fanatic. He had an unbelievable career with the Philadelphia Eagles and a short stop, a cup of coffee out in San Francisco with the 49ers. But he rushed for 6,335 yards, averaged 4.6 per touch, 41 rushing touchdowns, 30 receiving touchdowns, did so many things and still does in this community. A member of the 75th Eagles anniversary team and a member of the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame. And also importantly, won the Walter Payton Award for contributions to community back in 2001. So it's my privilege to welcome to the show the great Brian Westbrook. Brian, great to have you with us.
Good evening, Jaws. How are you doing? Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, I love having you on the show, and especially, Brian, when we come off a win against the New Orleans Saints, a team that was the hottest team in the NFL, a team that's playoff bound, although they were without their quarterback, Drew Brees. Certainly Taysom Hill did a representative job before that Eagles game. We harassed him a bit and took him off his game. But, Brian, you and I kind of see the game of pro football through the same lens. You have to have that balance on offense. As a quarterback in this league for 17 years, I always felt I had my best games, my best years when I could turn around and hand the football off. That a running game and a good running back is a quarterback's best friend. Whenever this Eagle team loses its equilibrium or balance, they seem to get in trouble. And then all of a sudden you get a game against the New Orleans Saints, and they drop back 53% of the time and throw it 47% of the time and beat a good New Orleans team. Do you believe in that theory that you have to run the ball and have balance?
Well, absolutely. And being a former running back, really, it's not even necessarily being a former running back that makes me believe that, but just seeing how offenses have rhythm when you have the run game going on. I just know that teams, particularly the Eagles, but really all teams across the NFL have much better rhythm when you have the run game going. I want to give you a perfect example. We've seen the struggles of a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Early on in the season, first 5 games, they've had over 100 yards rushing the football. Then you look at the last 5 games, they look like a totally different football team because they have no balance. They depended on Ben Roethlisberger to throw the football, and they have no run game at all. And this is what happens when you don't have any run game. When the defense is not threatened by your run game, now your linebackers can take 2-3 steps backwards. They don't have to worry about being close to the line of scrimmage because there's no run game to respect. And so now with the linebackers 2 or 3 steps back, now all those deep overs that you want to get your tight end in behind the linebackers, you can't complete those passes because now they're taking what I call 7-on-7 drops. And in 7-on-7, the linebackers and DBs know there's no run game, so I'm going to take an extra step back so I can defend the pass a little bit better. And so now these linebackers are so deep, the only thing that Pittsburgh Steelers at this point can do is dump the ball off for the dink and dunk. And that's why Ben Roethlisberger has been struggling to get the deep ball going, all because they have no run game. And for the Eagles, when you look at their run game, it's pretty simple. How did the quarterbacks get rhythm? How do they get their linebackers and safeties involved in the game? You start with the run game. You start there. And then you develop to the play action pass, the rollouts and things like that. And so to me, it's pretty simple to do, but it seems like it's been really hard for the Eagles to get that going all season long.
It's interesting. I went through the tape of the game Monday morning and saw that commitment to the run and how the offensive line came off the ball. And clearly with Jalen Hurts, it was a different style of running game as well, because obviously he had a big day running the game. But the zone read option was part of it. And, weeks 1 through 13, the Eagles had 14 rushes using the zone read for 212 yards. Against the Saints, 16 zone read rushes, 149 yards, 9.3 per rush. And is that, as you look at maybe a foundation of this team moving forward with Jalen Hurts as quarterback, you see that difference when he becomes a threat as a quarterback, what that does to the defense. So do you see the zone read becoming more prevalent like it was against the Saints?
Well, I believe it has to be. When you have a quarterback with athletic ability like Jalen Hurts, you have to use that ability to threaten the defense. And when you talk about the zone read, that's exactly what happens. You threaten the defense in the way that they're normally not threatened because they don't consider the quarterback a rusher. And so what happens on the zone read is pretty easy. Now the quarterback gets the ball. He's riding the running back with the ball basically in his belly, and you're looking at the defensive end. if the defensive end commits to the running back, then you pull it. And if he commits to the quarterback, you hand the ball off. So he can't be in a position where he's going to be correct. And because you're using the quarterback to run, you're adding another blocker. You're adding another player to that scheme. So it makes it a lot easier to run the football. I mean, it's just a great way to get an extra guy into the run game, a great way to use the talent and the skill set of your quarterback. And Jalen Hurts, when you talk about his skill set, it falls right in line with the ability to run the ball in that scheme. This is just a great opportunity for him and a great game plan from Doug Peterson of using that skill set.
You're listening to the Ron Jaworski Show with my very special guest, Eagles Hall of Famer Brian Westbrook. And Brian, you know, when you said blocking a moment ago, you know, a smile came to my face. Because when I think of football, you know, I always thought of my offensive line. I know as a running back, you always think of your offensive line. And, you know, all year long, that's all we've been harping upon is the injuries to this Eagles offensive line. It's the 12th group we started last week. It's going to be the 13th group we started this week against Arizona. There has been no consistency in the offensive line due to injuries. And it always bothered me that this was a pass-happy team. The Eagles drop back 67% of the time. That's the fifth most in the NFL. And I've always felt, you know, for an offensive line, when they're not used to working together, when they don't work in harmony for whatever various and sundry reasons, it's hard to develop that rhythm. And now they've developed that rhythm because they come off a game where they're asked to come off and run the football. And when you got rookies and inexperienced guys playing, you sometimes go, oh, man, what are we doing to them? You know, let them come off the ball and hit somebody. I have found in my experience that players want to come off the ball in the O-line and smash someone in the mouth, not take out a pass rusher. How much does running the football consistently and effectively mean to an offensive line?
Well, just think about all the excitement, you know, back when we used to be able to go to games consistently like everyone else. Just imagine all that excitement before the game. You're talking about guys hitting each other. Everyone is excited. You worked all week for this one moment, for this 3-4 hour moment in that weekend. So all that excitement from the week, all that work that you put in from the week, it all culminates at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, 4 o'clock, you know, whatever time the game is. And so now take all that excitement and tell, you know, your 350-pound offensive lineman, go backpedal 5, 6, 7 times straight. Go do that against some of the best athletes in the world that weigh 275 pounds. Go do that. What they would rather do is take that excitement, that energy that they pent up, that desire to go beat somebody up every single play and say, you know what? I'm going to go push somebody. I'm going to go punch somebody. I'm going to go push somebody around, put them on the ground, pancake them. That's what they want to do. That makes it's easier for them. And so when you're playing with guys that are more reserved guys than anything, guys that don't have continuity together, they know how to double team. You get shoulder to shoulder and you push and you just keep stepping until your running back is past you and you got 5-6 yards. That's easy for them to do. What's hard for them to do is to be going backwards and saying to the next man, hey, we have a DE stunt where the defensive end comes in and the tackle goes out, and now we have to switch it off. That's harder for them to do. So getting involved in the run game is something that's really critical for these guys that haven't played a bunch together. And it also gets them out of going backwards. Who wants to go backwards? Nobody. Let's go forward and punch somebody in the mouth. That's what we've been practicing all week. And so you're able to get your offensive line into the groove much earlier. And when you get them into a groove, then all they want to do, I don't know if you remember this, Jaws, but from when I played, we had a guy named Max Jean Gillis. And he was probably 360, maybe 370. And all I remember is after the first play, a long run or something like that, him coming back, clapping his hands. He was an offensive guard, clapping his hands, like, let's run it down his throat. I mean, and that's the type of excitement that you get from an offensive line that wants to run the football and play some smash mouth football. And you never see that. You never will see that when they're pass blocking. You only see it when they're run blocking because now they can be physical, man versus man. And that's what you really want to see from a young offensive line that hasn't played very much together.
You know, Brian, you had also built up a lot of capital and street credibility, you know, with your great career with the Eagles. And you probably could have knocked on the door of Andy Reid and said, hey, coach, man, we're too pass happy. We got to come off the ball a little bit. And, you know, I see this Eagle running back core right now. And, you know, you got the Miles Sanders. Yes, a very talented guy, but young and inexperienced and probably going to toe the line like young players should. But did you ever think, or did you ever go and say, hey, Coach Reed, man, come on, let's pound this ball. We can run the ball. We got a couple all-pro bookends here, and we're getting too pass happy. Did you ever get in a position where you felt you had to go talk to the coaches?
You know what's funny, Jaws, and I'll tell you two stories. One, it wasn't every away game, but we go to the hotel, and it was just a couple times during my career. For some reason, I got a hold of the room list. So I had Andy's room number and Marty Morningwig and Brad Childress. And so what I did, this is just a couple of times I did this. I called Marty, and I was more like pranking him, but I was really trying to get a message across. And I was like, run the ball, give the ball to Westbrook, and then hung up, right? And so he would always ask me, like, did you call my phone the night before the game? And I'm like, and I would always deny it, of course. But it was always a kind of an inside joke for me and the other running backs that if I get this phone list, I'm going to call Marty and remind him, run the football, don't forget about the run. But as a player during the week, Jaws, I really didn't say anything to the coaches about what we should do, what we shouldn't do. I would tell them what I saw on tape, some plays that I thought that worked. But I would also, and so I would allow the coaches to do their job during the week. Now, in game time, I got much more vocal. And I got much more like, listen, let me tell you what I'm seeing. And when I came off the sideline, whether it was a good series or bad series, I certainly would voice that to Andy and to Marty and to Brad Childress because, they have a good idea of what's going on from the sideline, but they can't tell when the defensive line is tired and they're sucking wind, hands on the knees, and they can't take anymore. They can't tell that from the sideline. Only the guys on the field can feel that and tell that. And so our responsibility is to go back to them and say, here's some plays that absolutely will work. And if you're running the football and they look tired, here's some things that we should continue to do to make sure that we can have some success. And as a player, I always felt like that was my job to do that and give that information to the coaches.
I felt kind of the same way you did because as a quarterback, you're supposed to express your opinion. And normally on a Monday, you know how Mondays are. That's when everyone's toasting each other after a win and bitching after you lose. And the offensive linemen always had kind of their corner of the locker room, and that was kind of the stay away from area. They had their own little clique of guys. That's how they operated. And, I had a couple all-pros and Jerry Sizemore and Stan Walters at tackle. You had John Runyon, Trey Thomas. You had these all-pro tackles, and yet they would stay down their corner and they'd do all the complaining, right? Then they'd get me and they'd say, Jaws, man, you got to go talk to coach. We got to run the ball more. Yeah. I said, man, I got two all-pros here. You guys go talk to the coach. Did you ever sense from a Runyon or a Trey Thomas that they were going to go and talk to Andy or go to Marty and go to Brad and say, come on, guys, we want to come off the ball and smash somebody? Were they outspoken in that way?
They weren't much going to the coach and saying anything during the week. But I know for a fact that I've heard John Runyon coming off the field yelling at Andy. And Andy would be 5-10 yards away where he can hear him, but he didn't feel like he was necessarily talking to him, if that makes any sense. And so I would always hear Runyon, like, run the ball, and he would say different things, and they would get the message. Juan would always get the message, and Marty and Andy, they would always hear him. You can't miss 6'7", 330 pounds. You can't miss that. And so he would always get the message. And generally speaking, when you hear a guy like John Runyon saying run the football, that's what you're going to do. And so I think him and Trey, they always were very good about that. And, Trey he was so good at pass blocking. So maybe for him, he didn't want to run block as much because he was an elite. He literally was the best of the best at pass blocking in the NFL. But, I think all of our guys, they did such a great job of run blocking. They always wanted to do it. So, maybe coach heard it all the time, so he probably just missed some of it.
Brian, I got to ask you about how you've seen or you would handle an outstanding pass rusher like Hassan Reddick from the Cardinals. He had 5 sacks last week against the Giants. That's a Cardinal record. And Hassan is a Temple grad. He's a South Jersey kid from Camden, went to Haddon Heights High School. And I'm looking at that tape the other morning, and he just had a field day. Reddick was, he's kind of that stand-up / linebacker, defensive end. They'll put him on the strong side, the weak side. They'll move him around, trying to give him, the best matchup they could find. But in your experience, you went up against the Michael Strahans of the world and many of those great pass rushers of your era. And I'm looking at Reddick, I'm saying, We got some young, inexperienced tackles, man. This guy could have a field day. How would, in your memory of how you attacked a great pass rusher, what was the best way to negate their ability?
Well, the way that I love to do it, and I know Andy always felt this way, is when you have a guy like Reddick who's 230 pounds, now it's time for Runyon. Now it's time for Trey Thomas to lean on him. And if he wants to play the pass every down, we're going to run right at him and make him and force him to play the run. That's what we would do. We would make him and force him to play the run first. And then if he wants to play the pass, we're going to put some bodies on him from the very beginning. Now, you're talking about two different body types when you're talking about Reddick and guys like Strahan. Strahan was a legit defensive end, 270, 290 pounds. And so he was putting his hand in the dirt. He was coming off the edge. And so when you play guys like Strahan, you say, okay, we're going to have the tackle on him. Then we're going to have the tight end hit him on the first play. Then the second play, we're going to have the tight end and the running back hit him. Then the third play, we're going to have the guard come out and hit him. And so now he's looking at all different directions to see where the contact is coming from. When you got a guy like Reddick, you're saying, okay, we're not going to allow him to play the pass. We're going to make him play the run first and hopefully wear him down. So now we get into the third and fourth quarter where we may need to throw the football. He doesn't have anything left because he's been getting beat up down after down early on in the football game, trying to play the run and stop the run. And so that's the way that I would attack it. And then if we have to throw the football, of course, protect your outside. Make sure that if he's going to beat us, he has to go through the guard. He has to go through the center because he can't beat us around the edge. That's where a lot of these speed rushers like to work.
You know, and as I looked at this Arizona team, they're a team that likes to load the box. You know, they'll put 8 in the box. They'll force you to throw the football. They have confidence in their secondary to play man-to-man. So as you look forward to this game and spin a game plan, you think it's a run-first game for the Eagles?
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, not that I'm one of these guys that say, listen, until they can stop it, why would you change anything? You know, I'm one of the guys that say, you go out there and what worked for you last week, do that until they have to do something else. And, of course, you're going to have a plan B. But if what you did last week worked for your team, then you have to see, and the Arizona Cardinals' job is to stop that first. And if they can stop that, then now we have some variations. Now we have some counters to what we did last week. Now, instead of putting the ball in the belly and pulling it out and running the football with the quarterback, maybe I'll put the ball in the belly of the tailback, pull it out, and do a little pop pass over the top. Now I get different guys involved. I still would love to see Ertz and Goddard involved more. I would still love to see guys like Rager involved more in some of these deep passes. I mean, these are different variations of our offense that absolutely can be pulled out. And we used a couple variations last week. That does not mean we have to go back exactly to those variations. But now when you have some success, and this is what we've been seeing from Carson, is that because we weren't having a bunch of success early on in football games, it's hard to get to those more complex part of your playbook. And as a play caller, you're saying, well, we can't do the simple stuff right. It's going to be really hard for me to do this more complex thing. Last week, we were able to do the simple things, the early things that we had success early, the things that Doug wanted to get done. And now he can say, okay, we were able to do that. Now I can move to the little bit more difficult things, the things that have more variations, more motions, more shifts. And that way we can have more success. And that's why when you put up 17 points in the first half, now you have the more ability to have more confidence in your offense that they can operate better than they were in the previous game. And for me, that's the simple game plan. Make them stop it, and when they do, go to the variations off the same type of plays.
Oh, man, I love the plan. Brian Westbrook, we got to finally get a win out in the desert on Sunday, keep this playoff drive alive. And I want to thank Eagles Hall of Famer Brian Westbrook for joining me here on the Ron Jaworski Show. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you taking time.
Thanks, y'all. Take care. Talk soon.
All right. Good stuff from Brian Westbrook, man. He's been there, done that, and good to hear his sound advice on the Eagles game plan. We'll be back with more of the Ron Jaworski Show right after this.
Big day of closet organizing and jigsaw puzzling? Get Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box. 2 medium pizzas, breadsticks, and your choice of pasta or wings. Sealed for your safety, all in one box. Choose contactless delivery or new curbside pickup at pizzahut.com.
I always say it's like family here.
RK Chevrolet does it right. With the Chevy employee discount for everyone. The Chevy price you pay is what we pay, not a cent more. New 2020 Silverados up to $8,465 below MSRP. New 2020 Equinox $27,900. $27,900. And every new RK Chevrolet comes with RK coverage, no charge.
Family owned and operated since 1982.
RK Chevrolet does it.
Right.
RK Chevrolet, a Vineland.
This week on Jaws Picks with Ron Jaworski, Peyton Manning.
This is Ron Jaworski. Today I'm joined by legendary quarterback Peyton Manning. You know, in Philadelphia, Carson Wentz had a run of like 4 years of playing terrific quarterback, and all of a sudden he gets benched. How surprised are you by that?
It's probably a good year that there aren't many fans allowed at Philly Stadium. When you agree,
you're right about that. Have you ever given thought about possibly becoming an NFL owner or a general manager of an NFL team? I've always envisioned you in that role.
Yeah, Josh, I mean, I keep looking for that $3 billion, but I just can't find it. It must be in another account that I'm not aware of. So
hey, I got a C note in my pocket. I'll invest.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll form a group.
Download new episodes of Jaws Picks with Ron Jaworski every Wednesday and Friday on Podcast One and all your favorite podcasting platforms.
No one out-cheeses, out-meats, out-supremes, out-crusts, or outstuffs the Hut. Because when it comes to making your favorites, no one out-pizzas the Hut.
This is Ron Jaworski. I want to invite everyone to rediscover the excellence and diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to ronjaworskigolf.com.
Hut, hut!
You know, in Philadelphia, Carson Wentz had a run of like 4 years of playing terrific quarterback, and all of a sudden he gets benched. How surprised are you by that?
Well, I haven't followed it all that closely. Obviously, you know, you living in Philadelphia, I'm sure y'all are getting daily updates on how practice is going and what the next scenario was. It's probably a good year that there aren't many fans allowed at Philly Stadium. When
you're right about that.
That's probably a good thing because obviously they're passionate fans, and sometimes the fans will let you know what they think about your decisions and the throw that you made. So that may be a good thing. Look, as you know, the NFL, it's a roller coaster. I mean, you're always striving for continuity, looking to be better each year than you were the year before. But, hey, sometimes guys go into a slump. I've been into a slump before. I remember there was a span there, I want to say maybe 2010, where I think I was averaging like 3 interceptions a game.
Whoa.
And now the coaches stayed with me, and we ended up kind of getting out of the hole and ended up making the playoffs. So it can happen to anybody, you know, no different than a baseball player. And obviously, when you're the quarterback, it's going to be very visible, and people are probably going to give you more credit than you deserve and probably give you more blame than you deserve. But Carson's a tough guy. I think he'll be back. You know, I read Coach Peterson's comment about, hey, the team needs a spark. I get that, you know. Eagles still, you know, fighting to try to win some games, and a guy like Jalen Hurts, who is a young, exciting kid, maybe he does give him a spark and helps him get some wins. So, you know, be careful making the final declaration for Carson Wentz. Everybody wants to, you know, summarize his career and say, oh, this is going to be the end of whatever. That's just not true. It's part of his journey. It's a tough patch, but I think he'll be back. But I'm also looking forward to seeing how Jalen responds.
Yeah, I was surprised by the move, Peyton, because, you know, I mean, there's a history with Carson. And actually, you know, I study the tape and I look at his performance, and
it was beyond a slump. He really hasn't played up to the standards of the NFL quarterback position most of the season. So I could understand, Doug's position on making a switch. But Peyton, you've also gone into your second season with Peyton's Places. In fact, I was honored to do one of those pieces with you. We did a film study segment up at Thomas Edison Museum up in North Jersey. Why were you intrigued by getting into the television business per se?
Well, I really didn't know that, I was going to do that. I really didn't know what it was. ESPN Plus was just sort of beginning. Now it's growing. I mean, I saw that they announced yesterday they're going to have an SEC game next week and next year, and eventually ESPN, ABC is going to take over the Southeastern Conference, and so they're very committed to growing ESPN Plus and allowing people to stream games and to learn more about different sports that they follow. So when they approached me about the NFL's 100th year coming up, Jaws, and they wanted me to help kind of tell the story of the NFL, how it got to this point, and some of the important things that happened along the way, some of the key people, and kind of do it in a fun, informative yet entertaining way. I was very interested, and this is our second season. Last year we focused on the 100th year. This year we tell more about stories. I love football. This year, Jaws, one of the reasons we talk to you is being around other people that also love football and why they love it and what makes it special and unique. And looking forward to that episode airing in a few weeks. I saw the rough draft of it the other day, Jaws. You and I in Thomas Edison's office watching game film.
Can't wait.
I mean, how does it beat that, right? And Thomas Edison, people don't know, was the first person to film video a football game. He filmed a game in 1903, and that's how kind of game film got started. So you and I were kind of telling that story, and I've enjoyed learning a lot about the history of the game during Peyton's Places, and looking forward to seeing your episode here shortly.
Yeah, Peyton, I know how much you love the game. You absolutely love it. I mean, you reek of passion for the game of football. You've been around the John Elways of the world when they were in their front offices, and Bill Polian and the great job he did with the Colts. Those are some of the stars of building football teams and building Super Bowl champions. Have you ever given thought about possibly becoming an NFL owner or a general manager of an NFL team? I've always envisioned you in that role.
Yeah, Jaws, I keep looking for that $3 billion. It must be in another account that I'm not aware of. Yeah. So
hey, I got a C note in my pocket. I'll invest.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll form a group. I've enjoyed staying close to the game. I kind of take very seriously, as I know you do, kind of my role as kind of an ambassador of the game, paying it forward. And, I really enjoy listening to you talk about how you kind of learned to watch film from Vermeil and Sid Gilman. And I enjoy, passing that forward to young quarterbacks and helping grow the game. So who knows? I haven't eliminated anything. I still kind of have open ears and like to listen, and still trying to kind of figure out this second chapter, if you will. I don't really use the R word, Jaws, and I know you don't, right? Because you're really not retired. It's just the second chapter. Right?
Right, that's correct.
It's post-football. It's a post-football chapter. So I still kind of take it 1 year at a time. And look, we have 9-year-old kids, and I love being a part of their school events and sporting events, actually kind of protecting that free time. At the same time, still love the game, still keep up with it very closely, and who knows down the road what may come available. But right now, I'm kind of enjoying what I'm doing.
And Peyton, I'm very thankful for you to take a few minutes out of your busy schedule and join me here on the Jaws Picks podcast. Stay healthy, be safe, my friend, and we'll see you on the golf course.
New episodes of Jaws Picks with Ron Jaworski every Wednesday and Friday on Podcast One and all your favorite podcasting platforms.
I always get exactly what I'm looking for when I go to RK.
RK does it right.
Save thousands on our new lineup of winter-ready vehicles at RK Kia. Lease new Kia Sportages from $198 a month, $198, or get 0% APR financing for 60 months. Every new RK Kia comes with RK coverage, no charge, during the Command the Season event.
Family owned and operated since 1982.
RK Kia does it
Right.
At RK Kia of Vineland.
Pizza Hut wings are bigger and better than the other pizza guys' wings. No one outwings the Hut.
Your wedding might look a little different than you first imagined, but that doesn't mean it can't be the most memorable day of your life. At Ron Jaworski Weddings, our 5 award-winning wedding venues are open, and we're meeting with couples daily, both in person by appointment or virtually with tours and video conferences. Voted the best of the knot and Wedding Wire 11 years in a row. See all we can do to make your day special at ronjaworskiweddings.com.
We get back to that matchup on Sunday. DeAndre Hopkins against this Eagles secondary. Man, that is the issue in this one as I look at it. You know, I think the Eagles will have some success moving the football. I think Jalen Hurts will have success. But my biggest concern is going to be this Eagles secondary, and particularly the whole defense as a whole. I thought the game against New Orleans last week, it was clearly a win by the Eagles defensive line. And they dominated a very good New Orleans Saints offensive line. And they're going to have to play as good as the defensive line of the Eagles, as good as or better in this matchup. And that's asking a lot. That's asking a lot of this defensive line for the Eagles. But clearly, when you look at this Eagle defense and you look at this Eagle team, how this team was built, and here's I agree with Howie Roseman on this in building a football team. You build it at the line of scrimmage. You build it in the trenches. And, you know, the Eagles have spent money on the defensive line. It paid dividends against the New Orleans Saints. And it was kind of interesting as I looked at the tape on Monday morning, the way that the Eagles approached the New Orleans game. Because normally this Eagle defense, I'd plug in a tape and I'd see probably, 50-50 man-to-man coverage versus zone. It was probably somewhat of an equitable mix. Now, you never really know it's 100% because on running plays, sometimes you don't get a true definition or a true read, but it was about 50-50 in the Eagles secondary, man or zone. Well, lo and behold, I look at the tape against New Orleans Saints. It was over 90% zone. 90% zone. And that told me something very clear. When you have a quarterback like Taysom Hill, you want to have eyes looking in the backfield. He was that dual threat quarterback from the New Orleans Saints. So I expect what you will see from this Eagles defense against the Arizona Cardinals is the same approach to the game. We want to have eyes in the backfield on Kyler Murray. He can run the football. Kyler Murray is a dynamic runner, as well as he is tough to get in the backfield, tough to sack. He has incredible movement. And for a guy his size, he has amazing vision. So as I spin this forward to this game, defensive line must wear the hat of responsibility. Number one, they got to contain Kyler Murray. And number two, they got to pressure him. And that is sometimes hard to do with just a four-man rush and a mobile quarterback. But then the Eagles defense as a whole, they must do what they did against New Orleans Saints. Playing zone defense, eyes in the backfield, eyes on the quarterback, rally to the football. And kind of an by the way, the Eagles have 4 interceptions this year. They've all come on zone coverage. They have not intercepted a ball when they were playing man-to-man coverage. And, if you watch games and understand it, it's a lot easier to intercept balls when you're looking back in the backfield than when you're playing man-to-man coverage, and many times your back is turned to a potential quarterback escape, and big plays come off his running ability. And, the quarterbacks in this league now, Taysom Hill, I think they watch probably a lot of Aaron Rodgers tape, because Aaron Rodgers has this unique ability to
decipher man-to-man coverage, and the minute he sees it, he looks down. You'll see his helmet drop and his eyes drop, and look for that lane to run into. Aaron Rodgers kind of changed the dynamic of how quarterbacks play versus man-to-man and against zone. And Kyler Murray has that ability, not to the extent of Aaron Rodgers, but clearly has the ability to drop his eyes, find the lane, take off and run. So this is going to be just, I think, one of those fun matchups that we as fans like to look at. And this incredible quarterback in Kyler Murray that could break the pocket and make plays with his legs. And how will Jim Schwartz defend a quarterback of that talent? Then you got to look at it from the other perspective. Jalen Hurts. Is Doug finally going to stay with the run game? I mean, it's incredible that, I mean, the numbers bear this out. And, you know, we could probably argue till the cows come home about balance on offense, because what comes first, the pass or the run? The pass set up the run, is the run set up the pass? These are always good things to discuss. But I am just a big believer, and I've been around this league since 1973, that the key to success consistently in the National Football League is balance on offense. And that's normally about a 60-40 split in today's NFL. 60% pass, 40% run. If you look at the Eagles so far this season, they've been right about 67% drop back. That's 67% pass, 33% run. Then you look at the Saints game. Lo and behold, what do you get? 47% run. 47% run against the Saints, 53% pass. I'd call that good balance. Maybe even too much leaning to the running side. And you look at the games the Eagles have won this year. The Dallas Cowboys, 59% pass. The San Francisco 49ers, 57% pass. The aberration is against New York Giants, where they threw it 67% and won that game. And probably if Evan Ingram had caught a sail route, that would have been in the loss column. I just believe, you know, to keep a defense honest, they must play the run and they must play the pass. And you know, I had Brian Westbrook on a little bit earlier, and you know, and wanted his input on this, because as a running back, I know you're always thinking, you know, them linebackers. You know, I can beat some of these defensive linemen. You know, I'm quicker. If you're a Brian Westbrook, not a Ron Jaworski, I couldn't beat any defensive lineman. Well, maybe in my younger days. But Brian Westbrook said, hey, if I know that those linebackers cannot attack the line of scrimmage because we're going to be balanced, or they're just going to drop in pass coverage because we throw too much, and you know, I'm not getting a real feel for how they're playing, it's going to be a long day. And if a defensive line and linebackers have to respect the pass as well as the run, you get a better chance to sustain offense. And quite honestly, in the NFL, that's what it's all about. It's about sustaining offense, staying on the field, and of course, explosive plays. And Brian Westbrook alluded to this in my first half of the show when we talked about the play-action passing game. Play-action passing game produce explosive plays. And that's why the running game is so important. And Brian alluded to the fact that he said, you know what, you stick that ball out and you put it in my belly, I can literally see those linebackers hard charging to make a play. And so what that means, when they're going to hard charge on the play action fake, so you put that ball in the belly, you pull it out, and you create voids in the secondary. That is absolutely incredibly important for explosive plays. So that's why when you spin this game forward, get the running game going with Miles Sanders, get the play action game going with Jalen Hurts. Although this receiving core has not been dynamic, they've shown enough playmaking ability that if the voids are there in the secondary, they can clearly make those kinds of plays. So as we continue to break down storylines for the Cardinals and the Eagles, hey, what do you start thinking of next? I did mention the running game. Miles Sanders was phenomenal last week. And I think the guy has incredible talent. I would like to see him used more. And I would probably be Oh, most people probably follow the same thought that I have. He must run the football more and more on third down. And I'm sorry, on first down. I think first down with a young quarterback like Jalen Hurts is absolutely the most important down. I know third down, I'm going to call it till the cows come home. Third down is the money down. You've got to convert third down into first down. But to stay out of third and long, you must run the football effectively on first down. If you get in 3rd and 7, 8, 9, 10, you're not converting many of those folks. You're just not going to convert them. NFL defenses are too good. They're too disciplined. They'll give you that 5 and 6 yards every time on 3rd and 7, make the tackle, punt. That's what they want to do. So to me, it goes back to first down. And I love getting some of these stats. I got Pro Football Focus. I got Next Gen. I got, all these statistical profiles of teams, which I love. And, it helps you define what a team is, and particularly after we've just completed week 14. So you kind of know what teams are. You know what to expect. And let me just give you some idea of what I mean exactly. First down rushing through week 14 of the National Football League season. These are by individuals, by rushes, and yards. And I think most people probably would know who number 1 would be, Derrick Henry of the Tennessee Titans. Carries on first down, by far the most, 193. So what I've got listed are 34 running backs, number of rushes on first down. Of these 34 players listed for first down rushes, there is not one Eagle running back. Not Miles Sanders, not Boston Scott, not Corey Clement, not one. The 34 most rushes on first down through week 14 of the NFL season, the Eagles are not in the top 34. And you've got a guy like Miles Sanders, who clearly is a dynamic runner, can give you explosive plays, can give you the big play, can give you the tough yards, can catch the ball out of the backfield. Get him more touches on first down. When the coaches are up there and they're working their tail off, and his coaching staff works their butt off to set their players up for success, my recommendation would be get Miles Sanders the ball more on third down, particularly with the young quarterback that you have in Jalen Hurts. Because when you got a young quarterback, you must protect him. You protect him with the running game. The other thing I want to talk about is the playoff picture. Ugh. I think the latest statistics I've seen, and it seems everyone's got an idea of this, it's about 11% that the Eagles are a playoff team. Well, they got to win 3 games, first of all. Looks like Washington has the inside track, but the schedules are all fairly even. You just don't know. But I do know this. The Cardinals absolutely have to win this game. They had a big win last week up in New York to get them into playoff position. But they're out in that NFC West where the Rams are leading and Seattle is in second place. And right now the Cardinals are hanging in third place, but at 7-6 in the playoff spot. So the Eagles know they go out there. They're going to get a team coming off a big win, a healthy quarterback, and a hot pass rush right now. The Eagles are going to have to play, in my opinion, as well as they played last week against a really good New Orleans Saints team. They're going to have to play better in this matchup against Arizona. Man, that's a tough matchup. And I'd mentioned earlier with Brian Westbrook on the show and Hassan Reddick, Temple University, first-round pick in the 2017 draft by the Cardinals, pick number 13. Here, it was great to see that young man from South Jersey, Camden, New Jersey, Haddon Heights High School, be at that draft and see him drafted in the first round was really special for this region as a whole, and a Temple grad even more so. But he had 5 sacks last week. 5 sacks. So the Eagles better be prepared how they're going to handle him. I mean, it was just he put on a show last week up in New York. So that'll be one of the key matchups in this game. That's going to just about wrap it up for the Ron Jaworski Show this week. And please be safe, everyone out there on the roads. I want to thank our sponsors, Miller Lite, Bradford White Water Heaters, Pizza Huts of South Jersey, Arcade Chevrolet, just all good people that support the show. We really appreciate that. And next week we'll be at the Valleybrook Country Club with my special guest, Hugh Douglas. But before I let you all go, I know many of you are waiting for my pick. And so far this year, against the spread, on all the games I select at ronjaworski.com, I'm 52.5% winning. It's a 5-point spread. So if you're following my picks, there's some winners out there against the spread. So that'll do it for the Ron Jaworski Show this week. We'll be back next week from the 7 Tap Tavern at the Valleybrook Country Club with Hugh Douglas. Good night, everyone.
This is Ron Jaworski. I want to invite everyone to rediscover the excellence and diversity of my 6 championship golf courses. You know what first attracted me to the game of golf? It's the precision it requires at every level. At Ron Jaworski Golf, everything we do centers around you. It's the small touches that make golf so special. That's what drew me in years ago and forever shapes the way I feel about the game. Come enjoy our amazing signature golf courses or go to ronjaworskigolf.com.